Good day to all our viewers at home and welcome to a new thing brought to you by Global Business Roundtable. My name is Sindy Mabe and I'll be your host for today's session. Of course, Global Business Roundtable is a kingdom-based organization growing individuals, communities, society and corporates holistically. And joining us today to talk about an issue around poverty, unemployment, that this is a hindrance to economic growth. I'll just ask our panelists to introduce themselves, starting with Dr. Kithaka to my extreme right. Please tell us your role in GBR and in society.
Thank you. Hello, viewers. My name is Dr. John Kithaka from Kenya. I'm the chairman of the GBR Kenyan chapter and also the group president of the FEB group of companies, the fastest and the most innovative investment group in Kenya. Thank you and welcome.
Welcome, sir. And Your Excellency Anyanwu, if you'll introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. Viewers, my name is Mr. CSU Anyanwu. C stands for Chinyemyem. I am the Managing Director of Dependable Securities Limited, a member of Nigerian Stock Exchange. I play the role of Chairman of Investment and Trade for Nigeria and a trustee of the Nigerian GBR.
And Reverend Mthethwa.
Thank you, Ms Sindy. My name is Reverend Zacharriah Mthethwa. I come from the Kingdom of Swaziland, and I've just signed an MOU with GBR. I am the CEO of the Voice of the Church in Swaziland. It's a very powerful Christian radio station in Swaziland. I'm the CEO there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. And Your Excellency Renalda.
Well, my name is Renalda Mlay. I'm the chairperson of GBR Tanzania Arusha chapter. I'm a farmer and a board member of Tanzania Horticulture Association in Tanzania.
Thank you, Excellencies. As we delve into this particular matter that plagues many societies, primarily in Africa being such a young continent, we're sitting with unemployment, which not only hinders economic growth, but also the quality of living of people. Perhaps let's start with Dr. Kithaka. Why the phenomenon of unemployment? And maybe you can define that for us. What is unemployment?
Unemployment can be defined in a very basic way as a state of having no job to anybody who is willing to work. Because you find that if you have no job, but you are not willing to work, you are not in that category of an employed person. Therefore, unemployment is a state where people want to work, but they cannot access a job as a means of gainful employment.
What if you're still able to sustain yourself? You're able to put food on the table, albeit doing menial work. Are you still classified as unemployed?
Yes, thank you very much. When you are able to put food on the table, when you're able to work on yourself, then you are not under unemployment, but you are self-employed because you're able to bring something on your on the table and you can do something on yourself, and then you encourage that, self-employed.
Yeah. And how do we deal with unemployment, and what are the contributing factors perhaps to that, Your Excellency?
A lot depends on what kind of unemployment. Ordinarily, we have our 4 types of unemployment. We have cyclical unemployment, we have seasonal unemployment, we have structural unemployment, we have each of these unemployments have reasons behind them. In structural unemployment, you have been out of job because the structure of the organization have changed. You are no longer employable under the structure of the organization. There are unemployments that are caused because you are looking for a job, you just left a job. And depending on what type of unemployment, they have different causes. It's seasonal unemployment if for a period you are unemployed simply because the job you're doing is out of season. So they have their different reasons.
Well, what is frictional unemployment?
Frictional is when you are looking for a fresh job, you're a fresh graduate, or when you are changing job. You left a job for not because you are not employable, because you want a change. So it's a momentary thing, it's a friction thing.
Yeah. What does the Bible say about not only unemployment, which subsequently leads to poverty, that as a principle that is against what God's promise is for us?
Thank you, Your Excellency. It's very amazing. Right from the beginning, God, during this creation thing, God says in the book of Genesis chapter 1, verse number 28, when he was blessing that first ever couple in the Garden of Eden, he said, be fruitful, multiply, subdue the earth. You see, from the onset, God has given us a potential to be fruitful, a potential to multiply, a potential to subdue the earth. So from the onset, there is no unemployed person. Because the first thing again that Adam received from God was not his wife Eve. But before Eve came on board, Adam received a garden from God. And God said to him in Genesis 2 verse 15, work on this garden and take care of this garden. Be productive from this garden, because he was giving him work. So a human being is someone who was given work from the onset. Work. We must develop the culture of working, because God expects us to be productive in our gardens.
Yeah. Just based on that backdrop, Your Excellency Mlay, why is unemployment problematic, especially amongst believers?
Well, the Bible says that whoever is not working should not eat. So it's a command that we should all work. And if you're not working, it means you are not entitled to eating. So what I would say is that the believers should make sure they work. As my colleague said there, Dr. Kithaka, is that unemployment is defined by inability to have something to work on. But the kind of unemployment we might be talking right now is that one where people are graduating from universities and colleges, and when they come out, they want that specific job that they went to study on. So that during that time when they cannot find that particular job, they stay idle. But if they would have found something else to subsidize for the amount of time they're spending without job, then they could not be in that category of unemployment. So I would say that believers should make sure that they work on in any area which is legit to work on, and so they will not be in that category of unemployment.
Yeah, but isn't it a legitimate expectation, though, to say that God has great, his plans are not mine, his thoughts are not mine. I'm not just going to take a menial paying job. I know that greater is he that's in me. He can provide greater for me. Then, therefore, I don't have to settle for second best. Is that not the right mindset, Dr. Kithaka?
Let me say that, number one, God expects us to be innovative, and that's why we are human beings. And that's why I want to say that in a nutshell, that it is in God's agenda that every man should be working and being productive. And that's why sometimes it's good to take the Bible as it is, that every man ought to be productive and fruitful through gainful engagement on a day-to-day. And that's why I would say that nobody should have an excuse as the reason why they're not working. And I would say that employment is a very, very serious issue as far as the economy is concerned. And that's why from a biblical point of view, we are supposed to be representing God's agenda here on earth, and therefore on a day-to-day executing the kingdom mandate through working, and working can take various forms. And therefore I would say that in a nutshell, that every person should be in gainful employment. We normally say that idle mind is a source of all evil. And that brings into focus why it is not good for a believer not to be working. Because it is when you are in gainful employment, in gainful engagement, that you're able to say that you're representing the image of God, who is a working God.
Yeah, and while you find yourself in that frictional space, I suppose where you're between jobs or you've just been retrenched, a project has just concluded, there are other ways of being productive and sharpening the saw, improving on your skill set. Your Excellency, you can talk us through that it doesn't matter that you have that lull period, you can still be productive.
Yes, it's expected that no person should be idle. If the desired job is not available, it's expected that you lay hand on what is available. You lay hand on skills that could give you that type of job. Being idle completely is out of the way. One needs to update his skills. One needs to accept for the sake of keeping body and soul together, not to be idle completely.
And what does it teach us as well in settling for what you essentially don't you think is beneath you, to have that meek spirit, to have a teachable spirit, to start from the bottom and work your way up.
Thank you, Excellency. It is very important for us as human beings to understand that when we grow from small and then you grow to bigger things. There's no way by which you can start from the top. One must begin from the bottom and grow step by step. Even in the Bible, God expects us to be fruitful, to be faithful to little things. And then He can entrust us with great things. So even if you are coming from a higher tertiary institution, it is very good to start small and grow gradually. Let's have that mindset of not looking down upon jobs and work and say, this is too little for me. Now, start from there. Have a history of your growing in the particular work that you are doing.
Our esteemed panelists today looking at unemployment and this hindering economic growth. And we'll just continue with the discussion. We defined what unemployment is in the previous segment, but now looking at how it's calculated and measured. We'll start with you, Your Excellency, Dr. Kithaka.
Thank you, Your Excellency. The rate of employment in a country or in a nation is normally calculated or defined as the number of people who are not employed or not have a job divided by the total number of employable people, which means you take the total number of people who have no job and you divide by the total number of people who are employable. And therefore, you're able to get a ratio or the rate of unemployment. Yeah.
Okay, again, we were saying that this is not people that are self-employed, that are doing artisanal work.
Yeah.
Is it people that are in the formal employment market, or is it just people that have either applied for work and haven't succeeded?
We say that unemployment, from the definition, is that person who has no job and is looking for one and willing to get engaged in one, which means you don't have a job, but you are keen on getting one. That's how you get unemployed. Therefore, for you to calculate the rate again, you say it is those people who have no job but keen and very busy looking for a job against how many people are employable within an economy. Yeah.
And where is unemployment more prevalent, Your Excellency Anyanwu, and why?
Youth in particular, and because that's the employable workforce, that's where a majority of them are from. Why? Because they are the people that just left school. They are the people bustling with a lot of energy, but they don't have a place to put it.
And so it's only the youth. What about the ageism that we find in certain companies that feel that the more experienced you are, you're a liability to the company because now you cost more, etc. Reverend Mthethwa, do you think it's just the youth necessarily?
Prevalent.
Prevalence than what it is in other age groups as well.
Yeah, we may say prevalently it could be the youth, but we do have elderly people that are unemployed and who are looking for employment. Some of them have been retrenched, some of them have been cut off by recessions, but they still have the energy to rise up and do something. Some are single parents like women. They do need to be hired. So the prevalence could be found among the youth, but also women that are elderly who are single parents also are part of that particular people.
And maybe the demographics as well, if you can break it down in terms of skill set, income or background, etc. Can you give us a more focused sort of definition of the prevalent unemployed? Dr. Your Excellency Anyu.
It depends on every economy, different economies. What prevails in South Africa may not be the same situation in Nigeria. The demographics and they are different in each nation. Yeah.
So it's just really about circumstances, market conditions, and whether the economy is creating the or rather business is creating the employment.
Yeah.
So economies of scale.
In a place like Nigeria, as I speak to you now, the unemployment rate is about 25, and it's about the recession that we are facing. So it's about the economy not being able to produce jobs for people, and some people that were in jobs were retrenched, were left out of it.
Yeah. Let's explore the solutions of dealing or minimizing unemployment. Your Excellency Mlay.
Well, I would say there's a solution to cut down the rate of unemployment. First, in Tanzania, we have about 800,000 people each year who are becoming unemployed, and these are the people who are between the age 15 and 34. These are the youth. And this caters for almost like 13.4% of the total population. But then we have seen in previous presentations that agriculture has becoming the largest employing industry. So the solution that we have done in Tanzania is to engage and to motivate more youth to join agriculture sector, because 80% of the population are involved in agriculture. And Tanzania itself has like 945 square meters for agriculture. So that's a huge potential. So most of the people now are engaged in agriculture right after the graduation. And we have been having a lot of policies to support youth and women in engaging in agriculture. We have enough universities and colleges, though we need to employ more on research and training for agriculture, so that to make it, because youth wants to go into technological approach. They don't want to copy what their forefathers were doing. So we are more employing more in technology, so that they can be able to join the agriculture sector.
So it's having the relevant skill set that industry requires, as opposed to just creating a whole bunch of clever people in society that are unemployed.
Yeah.
Reverend Mthethwa.
Thank you very much, Cindy. That one is a very critical point. When you are to address the issue of unemployment and bring solutions in Africa, it has to be thinking of the system of education that is currently prevailing in Africa, and realize that we have a defective system of education, because when you get into the four walls of the classroom, whatever is being taught there is now not relevant to the economy outside. We are bringing up, job seekers instead of job creators. And that is why you always have unemployment shooting up like that. We need to change our system of education and prepare young people who go out and not just be seeking for a job, but who go out to create a job out in the marketplace.
But where do young people access that, especially if education is not an option, be it because of family circumstances, to create individuals that have the critical thinking ability to say, even if I'm unemployed, this is what I can do to access opportunities. I may not be able to go to, to school, but what else can I do? Your Excellency, Doctor.
Thank you. I would say that we normally say that everything rises and falls on leadership, and you find that is in Africa where unemployment rate is very high. As you said, you may find that in our education system, I would say that is one of the main root causes, where everybody who has gone to the education, you are taught right from the onset that go to school, work very hard, be number one with an aim of getting a good job. So you find that everybody who goes to school has one aim: to come out and be ready for the market to get and gainful employment. So you find that we have a system or an economy that churns every year a lot of employees looking for jobs. But the same system is not wired to churn employers, job creators, entrepreneurs. And what we require is a balance of the two. That as we bring out employees, people ready to work to be in the labor market, we are creating a similar number of job creators. And therefore, I would say that if we set our foundations right, that we are able to create innovative, enterprising men and women, I want to believe that the issue of unemployment will be sorted once and for all. But as far as our education system is churning out employees year in, year out, we'll have that challenge perpetually.
Your Excellency, just very briefly, the impact of unemployment or effects thereof on society, family, and the economy.
On the economy, I would like to take it in two sides. The economy of the unemployed, he has no income, he has no money, so his purchasing power is low, he cannot spend. On the government, because he has no income, he can't pay taxes. So income to the government is not there, it's minimized. On the society is a social issue because crime comes up from there. And a lot of other social issues come up because of unemployment. So in any way you want to see it, whichever way, unemployment is not welcome.
And of course, the devastating effect it has on family and the prospects in terms of choices, family, where you live and where you send your children to school. Well, we hope that you're truly blessed and inspired by the messages we're sharing. Of course, many in society find themselves unemployed with devastating consequences. So with the panel today, we're looking at the impact of unemployment on economic growth. As we were discussing, Your Excellencies, defining what unemployment is, and not the ability, not having the ability to put food on the table and to sustain your family. Now we want to look at the psychological consequences of unemployment. We'll start with you, Your Excellency.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Number one, you must appreciate that when you're not employed, two things happen. Number one, you have no income. And the Bible says that money answereth all things. Which means when you have no money, you have no answer to anything. And you can imagine that every time you wake up, especially a man who is in charge of the house, that you cannot put food on the table, you cannot be able to take your children to school, you cannot be able to take care of your family. It becomes that even the authority you have disappears, and it becomes quite a challenge. Therefore, you have what you call psychological disorder because you lack the authority to be able to execute your mandate that God has given you. Number two, you also appreciate that you become a liability to the economy because you find that when you have no job, it means you are not productive enough to be part of a proactive engagement. And more importantly, you must eat, you must feed, which means therefore you are not contributing into the economy, but you're consuming the economy, which means that in economy, the greatest asset of an economy is a human resource. So when you're not part of that economic drive, it becomes a challenge, both psychologically and also has a negative effect to the society. And you also find that we normally say that even in a nation, you cannot rule a hungry nation. So when there are no jobs, people are hungry, you can be sure there will be a lot of lawlessness in that country, and therefore it has a lot of psychological effects that have a multiplier effect because of joblessness.
Yeah, and how do these consequences due to unemployment manifest in the family environment, especially where a father figure or the man of the house is not working? Your Excellency Mlay.
Thank you. You see, the African society, the culture of all Africans is that the man is supposed to be the head of the house. So if the head of the house, regardless of the amount of respect he gets from the wife who might be the provider, there will still be that sort of inferiority complex. The person will not be able to stand up and be a man or a father of the house. So sometimes this one can even destroy the marriage relationship if these people are married. So there will be a destroy of a relationship, and also the children might have this concept of looking into a man as not a person who is so capable of taking care of the family. So this one also goes to deteriorating the family values, and also it goes to the level that the poverty, when the poverty line is on the parents, it goes down to the children. It's very difficult to find out the children who grew up in very poor families becoming rich. You have to struggle a lot to be in a certain line. But normally in most of the African families, you find that that poverty line goes to all the descendants.
Yeah. In a previous segment on women of character, we were talking exactly about the role of a woman in your image as God has created you to be a helper and to be supportive and submissive to submit to the man. So what happens in this case when you take away that ability to answer to the question about, Daddy, we need money for this, or my husband, I need you to assist in this particular financial way? What happens to those the dynamics of their relationship?
Thank you, Excellency Cindy. This is very critical. When a man is unable to produce, when a man is unable to provide into the family, it breaks a lot in the family structure. you see, number one, respect of the man is questionable. Because even the man himself finds himself in a catastrophe or in a confused situation when they are demanding salt, demanding bread, demanding school fees, demanding shoes, demanding clothes from him, and he is unable to provide for those things. Now, this problem is prolonged even to the young ones. Think of this. When you grow from a poor family and by God's chance, you are able to get into university, and then when you start working as a teacher or whatever, that profession, you're supposed to go back and pull up your sisters, your siblings, your brothers, before you can even provide for yourself. Think of a young man who's going like that. That young man is supposed to be getting married at around 35 or 40, getting married. But there's no way you can get married when you're still financing your siblings, pushing them up.
We call it black tax.
Black tax. The time comes for you to get married, but you have no resources to provide for yourself because you're still pushing your siblings. And then your time elapses for one to get married, and then you're going to marry when you're around 45, and because of this problem. So poverty really is a problem in the family. It does break the family structure and causes a lot of frustration at home.
Yeah. I mean, I want to just draw the parallels between, we know education is very important in not only changing your outlook on the world, but accessing opportunities and having self-esteem and that kind of thing. But if you take in South Africa, for example, the lowering of the pass rate to about 33% versus the ability of people to access university of higher education, and comparing the high level of unemployment, which is at 34%. These are all or rather related developments. So how do we get out of this unemployment rate trap, rather, if people are not adequately employed or employable, they don't have the right skill set and qualifications as well? Your Excellency, Anyan.
Yeah, well, the effect, and particularly about South Africa, will be that there'll be more people that will come out, because it's as if the bar is lowered and more people will be coming out. Again, back to what we consider the root cause of unemployment, the orientation in the school. If the school system prepares you to be an employer of labor and entrepreneur, if the system will belong to prepare you for that, you will easily get into that. I think I have to address this issue as it relates to young people. I think anybody who finds himself in employment should consider it a period of apprenticeship. You need to acquire primary and basic skills to get into the work. So the period of employment should be considered as a period of apprenticeship, so that everyone who finds himself working should be preparing to get into the entrepreneur class. And by so doing, if everybody's mindset is made so, you will discover that a lot of people will not be looking for a job where there's no job.
Because that's the whole thing, that jobs are essentially recycled as opposed to new ones being created. Just a quick definition on the natural level of unemployment that economists say essentially will not be eradicated. What does that mean, Dr. Kithaka?
It means naturally that in any economy, you can never have 0% unemployment. That is not possible, because under natural justice, there is always something that will provoke unemployment cases, no matter how developed an economy is. Number one, naturally, there is always rife and death. So every day, businesses are being born, businesses are dying. So which means on a daily basis, there are people losing jobs and there are people getting jobs. So at any one time, there must be people who are not employed. Even Jesus said that there will always be poor people among you. And there are people who are naturally not ready to work and naturally not willing to do it. So you find that under natural justice, that there is always a transitional moment, that there will always be at any one time people not in employment due to either structural issues or the cyclic issues or transitional issues. Somebody had a good job, he got married, has to transfer to another place. So therefore, it is simply says that under normal natural circumstances, there is no way you can say in a country everybody has a job at any one time. So that means that perpetually, that's assured that anytime there will be unemployed people in any economy.
And that's why we obliged to look after the poor, those that are genuinely not able to be absorbed in the mainstream economy. Your Excellency Mthethwa.
Thank you, Excellency. The issue of unemployment will always be there. That is why we're saying as economists, there's no situation where there's going to be zero unemployment. Will always be there because it goes with sometimes disobedience. Believe me, when someone is created by God, even before he or she is educated, the person has got to do something to earn a living. Every child is born folding the hands like this. And it is the responsibility of the mother giving birth to unfold these hands. What is that thing telling us as Africans? Is that I'm born holding something, I am born loaded, I am born with a potential, I am born to do something. But we become disobedient in life, then we fold our arms and then we think because God is Jehovah Jireh, He will provide. I mean, God has provided the Garden of Eden. It is up to Adam to stand up now and work and tilt the ground to have something to eat. God has provided the resources around us because you've been saying, Your Excellency, what if I don't have the opportunity to go to school? Then how must I get work? Around us there is work. You know, work is not always tied up to education. There is work outside formal education. I can do something, repairing shoes. You can't go to school and be taught how to repair, shoes.
Yeah.
Just do it because you have the skill within yourself.
Just do it, be resourceful, find something to do. You can't just expect a manna from heaven, as it were. Thank you so much to our panelists for their contribution and insight so far. Earlier on, we were talking about unemployment, a hindrance to economic growth, and primarily how it impacts on families, society, the person's self-esteem, especially if you are the head of the family. We hope that this message will inspire you and bless you as we join our esteemed panelists looking at the impact of unemployment on government and its ability to collect revenue in taxes, etc. Dr. Kithaka, if you can talk us through briefly what impact that has.
Thank you, Excellency. Very briefly, I would say that unemployment is the biggest headache for any government. Number one, you are talking about lack of revenue, because that is the greatest source of taxation. Number two, unemployment has a lot of impact on lawlessness. So security issues come into play, crime come into play. And also, number three, I would also say that when there's unemployment, there's a lot of psychological disorders at the family level. Because you normally say that a healthy family leads to a healthy church, a healthy community, and a healthy nation. So when we have unemployment, there's a lot of psychological disorders, social disorder, crimes come into place, and you find that even the country is not healthy, which means therefore that if there's an issue to address in any economy, for any government, objective number one is provide jobs for your people. That way you offend the nation, because people say that a hungry nation is an angry nation. Therefore, number one is feed your nation by giving them jobs. Therefore, you'll be able to have a very healthy nation, and they'll be able to obey the rule of law.
Is the government expected to create employment? Because business will say there's already too much regulation and interference. Theirs is to create an environment where business will thrive, and that's where the employment comes from. Your Excellency Anywau.
Yes, government role in creating employment is two-pronged. Policies create employment. Government also, in most nations, are the largest employer of labor. Policies, everyday policies like fiscal policies, expand the economy, and reduction in taxes, all those kind of things. Pronouncements by government, providing enabling environment is the first step, but government again employs. So two ways, whichever way you see it, government ought to create employment.
Yeah. In the case of South Africa, where we already have what some might term an overinflated cabinet, because there'd now been a duplication or subgenres of particular departments. We first had one education department, for example. Now there's higher education and basic education, and with others as well. Do you think that this deals with the issue of unemployment, but also puts pressure on the fiscus, because now there's more salaries to pay and less to use for social development, Your Excellency Mlay?
Well, I would say when the government faces unemployment, it means instead of using its budget on other development issues, it's using its money to feed people, to take care of the health issues, to take care of shelter issues of its people. And this will go from the youth age to the elderly, because you cannot feed the youth and then stop somewhere. It has to go throughout up until this person gets old. And now when the government deploys a lot of departments in their ministries, it means they are even taking the small share they had to use for other development, like adding more industries, developing other infrastructures, to just pay people who already had the job. Because these ministers, these member of parliaments, they have something to do. They are business people. They've got entities somewhere which are being run. Now they're just taking the small shares which could be deployed to other people. So for me, I would say the curriculum that is being used should be structured in such a way that people, when they come out of the job, they are going straight to create their own jobs. And also families should make sure that the kind of business they are running should go down to the many descendants. You see, most of our businesses, they just end up on the first generation. There are some other cultures who have the culture of having their business running for even 400 years. So for us Africans, we should copy that we should have our businesses getting down and down and down. And also the people who are being employed, they should be loyal. The most important, the most critical issue we are facing now, even with business people, is that you don't have the kind of people who could take care of your business when you are absent or present. So you find that people are just bound to do maybe one or two businesses, while they could do a magnitude of businesses and create more jobs and giving a platform for others to be employed.
Yeah. Let's talk about the youth and maybe passing on the baton to the next generation, maybe from a skill set or family business. And over, as a society, we're sitting with a high level of youth unemployment. How do you deal with that, especially in the knowledge age where there's so many opportunities and information out there?
Thank you, Excellency. When it comes to the youth people are very open even to information. I think government, what must be doing in Africa, it is prioritization. When we do the budget for the annual budget, let's prioritize in terms of, let's make sure that we are providing the youth with not this bookish kind of education, but let's provide education which is vocational, which will take this young person who is knowledgeable, who is informed, take him out of the classroom into the industry to begin to create job, to be an entrepreneur, to start working immediately. These young people are energetic. If they're given the right kind of education, they can change our economy upside down in Africa. But let's empower them with this kind of education, which will make them to go out and hold the camera. Let us be teaching these TV and film courses. When somebody goes up, he's not seeking for employment, but he's saying, where is the wedding? To take a video of the wedding and make money from there. Where is the funeral? If they want a video of that thing.
Yeah, Your Excellency, just in closing, we all have responsibilities and given enough to fend for ourselves, and especially with young people. What is the onus, according to the Bible, on young people that are old enough to fend for themselves and are still not doing that?
Well, that one, there is just a strong command. Arians was saying, if someone is not working, he must not be given food. Then the Bible says, young people are loaded with energy. They are still energetic. And young people are smart. They are going out in terms of their thinking. Now, they need to rise up and do something from a family point of view. wherever they are in a family, they must not wait for a formal education. Every young person can do something in the society. Let them look around. What is available? What is missing in the society? Then they can start business on what is missing in the immediate society, these young people.
Thank you so much, Your Excellencies. I must say I'm truly inspired as a former young person myself. I'm revealing my youth. But thanks indeed for joining us. And to you at home, we appreciate your views and you're most welcome to send us your comments. So today we are talking about unemployment and how it hinders economic growth. You can read more about Global Business Roundtable on our website. That's globalbusinessroundtable.com, and also email us on comments@anewthing.tv. If you'd like to talk to us, you're most welcome to send your queries and your comments. And remember, at all times, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Matthew 6, verse 33. Thank you so much for watching. Be abundantly blessed until we meet again.